All right, at 7 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting of Milton Plan Commission for January 25th to order. The first item on the agenda is the roll call. Abby?
Bruce,
Here.
Erdman Hermans,
Here.
Paulson,
Here.
Ramsey,
Here.
Schaefer,
Here.
Slavish,
Here.
and Brar is present.
All right, the way to go. We have no public hearing, so next item is the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2022.
Schaefer moves.
All right. Need a, okay, I can go ahead and second it. Okay, any questions or comments? That's easy, so. Okay, otherwise, all those in favor of approving the Plan Commission minutes of January 11th, 2022, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, motion is approved, minutes are approved. Now we are on to item number 1. This is the specific implementation plan in Tribeca Village to allow stormwater pond lands north of 3440 Tribeca Drive and west of Tribeca Drive. Abby.
Yes, well, the city had previously approved a GIP with contingencies as the first step in rezoning these lands to accommodate the stormwater pond. This is the second step, the SIP, and this is a collaborative project with the city along with MIG Commercial Real Estate and their partners. The Stormwater Utility Board did recommend accepting this as a public basin at their meeting on January 19th. And our recommendation is for approval and recommend approval to the Common Council contingent on resolution of engineering staff comments.
Okay, all right, I make that motion.
I'll
to
second
approve.
that. I'll second that motion.
Okay, now let's have questions or comments. I think I will just start. We have gone over it so many times.
A few times.
At various meetings, but we are still open, so all right. Please raise your hand. I do not see any raised hands here. So it looks like everybody has is ready to vote, and we know what we are voting on. It's I think it's solving a long-term problem. The water is coming from the town of Middleton. Earlier, it was going directly to the Graper Pond, and now it will be going to this pond, and ultimately, some of it will still go to the Pheasant Ranch Conservancy Creek corridor. But that's how it is. So, okay, all those in favor of the motion. Anybody having any questions? All those in favor of the motion to approve specific implementation plan in Tribeca Village to allow stormwater pond lands north of Tribeca Drive, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The second item is related to this one. This is the certified survey map in Tribeca Village to allow stormwater pond. And this is the lands north of 3440 Tribeca Drive and west of Tribeca Drive. Abby.
Yeah, so for this one, this is just to subdivide the land that will accommodate the stormwater pond. We have advised the applicant that we will need to record an easement agreement for the flag poles that are located on the site. Those are poles that were installed within the last couple of years without the city's permitting process. And we will need for there to be a document number assigned to that easement agreement that will be recorded along with the CSM. So it's a housekeeping thing, but procedurally there is an order that needs to take place in so that we have that all together in our filing system. And then our recommendation is for approval, recommend approval to Common Council contingent on engineering staff recommendations and also recording the easement agreement.
Okay, I make that motion to approve.
Slavish will second.
Okay, second by Max Slavish. Okay, questions or comments? It said
Yeah,
Abby
just-
said it's housekeeping. Yes,
just
go
to-
ahead.
Just the question of where these flagpoles are that you're talking about.
Let me show you. I think that's page 21 here. Actually, they're not shown here. Hold on one second. They're located, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but they're located basically smack
Okay.
dab in the center of this existing lot.
And when you say
Why?
flagpoles, for what, like commercial signs or like American flags or something like that?
American flags that I think are intended in part to draw attention also to the business.
So why does the city need an easement? I'm confused.
I think that the engineering staff is concerned that there needs to be an easement in place for access to those flagpoles in case they need, when they need maintenance, lowering, that sort of thing, raising the flags.
Does the city own them and have responsibility for them? Or was that like the VFW?
That was put in by the property owner, Bergstrom, the Chevrolet dealership.
So
When I was looking at the one plan, it looked like actually though, you need easement to get to the sewer gate on the far northwest corner of that. Because that was one of the engineering notes I remember seeing. So that may be more what the easement's for. Is where that long sewer pipe comes down, it hits into that northwest corner there.
Well, it says
Um,
easement for
yeah.
flagpoles, including ingress and egress. And see
Brad
the-
Cutter is calling in from MIG. Brad, would you like to speak up?
I
Brad, please
would.
go ahead.
I apologize profusely that I was unable to find the raise your hand button, but yeah, no, I wanted to chime in. Thank you, Abby. I just wanted to basically indicate, yeah, straighten things out for Mr. Paulson. The parcel itself was owned by Bergstrom. They put their 3 flags, which is one of their standard brand type things. They have all the car dealerships around the state. They put those 3 flagpoles there in that lot when they own the lot. We have since closed on the contract for the lot, and because we then own it, we would then own the lot. But there's still we let them keep their flagpoles there. We had to put an easement in basically to allow them to maintain and take care of the flagpoles, raise and lower the flags. And when the city is going to be later acquiring the portion of the pond, we designed around these flagpoles so that we didn't have to move them. And for the same purposes, the easement just simply needs to then stay in place. So that was our approach to it. Abby, did I miss something? I'm not sure if I covered everything, but.
That's my understanding. Thank you for covering that.
Yep.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So later then the plan is probably to remove these flagpoles, I suppose, or not.
No, it's my understanding that as long as the easement associated with the flagpoles indicates they'll stay there as long as Bergstrom owns that dealership and runs the dealership, specifically, basically that dealership. They can't sublease to someone else, or another car dealership can't come in. If Bergstrom closes that, then the easement ceases and the flags have to go, the flagpoles, then they need to remove those and they go away.
Okay. Is that okay with everyone? If you're not okay, please
Yeah.
raise your hand.
That makes sense. The context makes sense now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see Randy, please go ahead.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. So Brad, is the easement already in place?
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute here. I know that Matt Schreiner's on the call. Can I bring you in here, Matt?
He's muted too.
Matt?
Matt? So the answer,
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so there's no easement currently for the flagpoles because the property was recently, as Brad mentioned, acquired by Tribeca. So this is needed as the property is going to be transferred to the city.
I
And
guess, yeah, it just sounded like, Brad, it sounded like you, that this easement though has been negotiated or discussed with Bergstrom with
Yes,
some
yeah.
extent.
Yes, Randy, actually. So what I said is that you asked if it was in place. The answer is our closing was literally just a few hours ago. And so to the extent that that there is agreements related to this kind of domino kind of transaction we've got set up with the city, that our acquisition from Bergstrom was under these certain terms, and then we would agree then to transfer the parcel onto the city with certain terms. We're not taking any uptick or anything. We're just doing everything at cost. Of course, we're just being kind of the middle person here, but the easement was a part of a transfer that happened today. It's likely not been filed yet, but it was intended then to also be a portion of the transaction with the city related to the sale of the lot.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
That help? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I remember the discussions where they about these flagpoles. So I guess yeah, that's good. Thank you for
Yeah.
explaining it.
Thank
So Randy,
you.
you have more
I just didn't want to think that the Brad Hutter had been out putting up flagpoles in the middle of the night or something. That was not me.
All right. Okay, any further questions? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to approve the certified survey map and Tribeca Village to allow stormwater pond. These are the lands north of 3440 Tribeca Drive and west of Tribeca Drive, and we talked about the discussion about the flagpoles and easement. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are on to now the item number 3. Wow, okay. So this is the design review for 2 pre-engineered buildings, Construction Management Solutions LLC, 7 Crows and 2332 Pinehurst Drive. Mark or Abby?
Yes, I have this one, Mayor. The owner, Sven Krause, is here with you tonight. And so he can provide a quick overview. I think that might be appropriate here to describe his project a little bit. You'll see in our staff recommendations, there's a series of contingencies. And one of the questions, Sven, if you could address too, please, is how the property relates to any mapped wetlands that are in the area.
Okay, Sven, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, everyone. So a little bit of back context to the project. We had approached city maybe 3 months ago for just a concept review for, again, setting 2 pre-engineered buildings, adding approximately 17, 16, 18,000 square feet, something to that effect on the property, which you can see here. That was approved at that point from a concept perspective. Since that time, we have had numerous progress done in relation to a wetlands study. So that was from a certified wetlands expert, having done a map study on the property, and then obviously a little more per the recommendations of the city during the plan review or concept review. There was additional information provided on in terms of layout of the buildings, some of the additional, there's not a lighting plan. That was kind of one of the main feedback, but the majority of the things had been addressed. From a wetlands, the wetlands study that was submitted with it concluded that there were no natural mapped wetlands on the actual lot itself, that anything that was there was essentially man-made, due to the fact that all the drainage from both Pinehurst and the essentially 3 neighboring lots all run onto this property, and also into that gully that's highlighted there, that mark is on page 34 here. That purple outline is essentially a man-made wetland, and that was certified by or that was shown and approved to be that by the certified wetlands delineation and the inspector who concluded that study.
Okay. So, any question for Sven? Well, I remember approving this concept and having this question about the wetland. So first Randy and then Kurt Paulson.
Can you explain what, well, at least as you know it, what is the permitting process for adjusting those wetlands, or will those wetlands need to be modified?
From my understanding, and Todd Gindra, who's on this call too, I believe can maybe jump in if need be too. But
and I can jump in, Sven. That's Jeff Kramer from Heartland Ecological Group explained, Randy, to us that since the wetlands are a man-made wetland as a function of the drainage ditch that was man-made, that we essentially notify the DNR and ask for essentially a variance in that since they are not a natural made wetland, that the DNR then looks at it, views it differently, and then does not hold us to necessarily the same standards. In particular, for example, setbacks for buildings are either eliminated or greatly reduced on account of the wetland is a man-made wetland.
Okay, so that's a process that you'll go through after this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Randy?
I think at the last meeting, I had suggested trying to get some additional landscaping along the west property line, northwest corner to give a little bit more buffer for the houses across the greenway. It is a substantial distance. I think John had mentioned that before, and I went out and looked at it today. But there is kind of a gap in the buffer and the natural buffer between the industrial park and the single family development to the west. And I just wanted to see if the applicant would be willing to consider some additional landscaping on the some evergreen trees or something along the property line that might help screen the new buildings.
yeah, I mean, obviously it's an industrial park that's been there for many decades prior to the single family housing. But that being said, you know, we'll take a look, and if there's, you know, opportunities, there is a berm there, so I'm not sure from a plantability perspective the success of that in long term, but we'll certainly after construction and the retention ponds and so forth, so on and so forth, assuming, you know, we can build or plant those if there's room and grading enough to plant those types of buffers, we'd be open for it. Obviously, if it falls outside of that line, there is a City of Middleton land that is on the backside of it that we'd want to make sure we get prior permission, or I guess the City of Middleton wants us to essentially then plant on City of Middleton land.
Thank you.
Okay, so next one is Kurt Paulson.
Yeah, question for Mr. Opitz, zoning question. What zoning district is this in?
Industrial.
Industrial. And it doesn't indicate what the use is, but I'm assuming that the uses have to get a valid zoning permit from you?
Excuse me, I'm looking at the minutes from our previous discussion back in, actually goes back to 2020, I think, is when we first talked about the Carva halls. Are they still there, Sven?
Yes.
And there was a conditional use permit granted at the time. So that is, if as long as it's complying with the conditional use, that is in compliance. I'm not aware of what the other uses are off the top of my head, but yes, they need to comply with our,
So-
we want to make sure they comply with as permitted uses.
Yeah, okay. So that the new uses will be industrial and in compliance.
Right. Thank you for asking. That's a valid point.
Any more questions, Kurt?
No, I mean, in terms of design, it fits the industrial nature of the neighborhood. My only other concern was with Randy on buffering with the hidden oaks, but it sounds like that's taken care of. The stormwater plan has to be approved by Water Resources, right?
Not necessarily. This can be done at the staff level.
Okay. There was some note on the plan, that one. I guess a fee in lieu would have to be approved by Water Resources. Okay, thanks. That's it.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other question? Otherwise, need a motion now? Need
If you
a
could go,
motion.
if you could go to the staff recommendation, Abby, that might be helpful.
Mayor, I would move to approve the design contingent on submitting of a lighting plan compliant with chapter 33 and approved by planning staff. Submittal of stormwater and erosion control permit application to be approved by engineering staff and resolution of engineering staff recommendations.
And Schaefer will second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Paulson and second by Commissioner Schaefer. Any further questions or comments?
I have a clarifying. Oh, go
Can
ahead.
the minutes record also an encouragement for additional landscape buffer on the west side to the buffering to Hidden Oaks?
That was my clarifying question. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay with you, Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes, it is. In fact, it's
I
preferred.
think so, yeah. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the design review for true pre-engineered buildings, Construction Management Solutions LLC by Stem Krause, 2332 Pinehurst Drive, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed unanimously. We are on to Mark has told me that we are not going to do item number 4 and 5, right, Mark?
I was simply going to, for the record, publicly explain what the communication you got this afternoon from me.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
after further research and discussions, I concluded there's not a need to reconsider the previous approval of the CSM at this meeting. The 33-foot wide strip of land that exists along the eastern edge of the 3 lots already functions as public domain pursuant to state statute, which specifies that town road rights of way occupy width of 66 feet, absent any separate legal description, which doesn't exist here. So in other words, there is already a right-of-way easement, but it's just not dedicated. We have, from our indications that we have, from my conversations with various parties, the town is wanting to condition the dedication on other matters which are not related. So there's no need to proceed with this at this time. There will be other opportunities in the future for the land to be dedicated if it's necessary. And so therefore I recommended that unless you wish to discuss this, in which case you should move to reconsider, I would simply say that the staff recommendation now is to not move reconsideration, and I will simply sign the CSM tomorrow if no motion is made.
Well, is everybody okay with that? Because I think they also, those houses do not want to be annexed into Middleton either. So I think there are going to be some issues here, but probably nothing for us to discuss here now.
Yeah. So if the way this works procedurally is if no motion is offered, then the item is not before you and the previous action stands.
Okay. So I would say that we are not going to offer any motions here. So no motion to reconsider. So, all right. We'll move on to item number 6, which is the Plan Commission appointment to the Community Campus Committee. So as you know, we had the Jennifer, she was our representative on this committee, and she had moved on to other bigger and brighter things. So And Abby and the staff is trying to get this community campus plans restarted now after the COVID hiatus. But so that's where we are. So I think, you know, my thought is that, well, anyway, I like the committee to have a representative from all part of the city. So the committee right now is more sort of a downtown focused. So I think Gretchen represents, she has young children and she represents sort of a northeast part of the city. But you know, it's open to discussion. So whoever you guys would like. So, but I think it will be best if we have somebody from, you know, north of the Century Avenue and somewhere around that area. So.
I would move to nominate Gretchen to be the Plan Commission representative, assuming she wants to take the job.
Well,
so can we ask her before we?
Because you're the other one that lives on this side of the.
Yeah, and I don't want to do it. So
It pays double what you're paid now, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I will go ahead and second
Well,
it.
Gretchen, are you
Oh.
willing to accept the
Oh,
nomination?
Gretchen, first, are you willing to accept this monumental responsibility to represent
Can I
that
ask what
whole area?
what is the commitment?
Abby, you want to tell about the commitment?
The revised timeline that I'm going to be proposing to the Community Campus Committee would have the plan completed by the end of this year. We will need to shorten up the extended community engagement process that we had proposed back in March of 2020, the last in-person Common Council meeting before the pandemic, in order to get everything completed by the end of this year. And the Community Campus Committee will not meet more than one time per month. We're going to be working with the elected officials to help us with the community engagement part. But we might ask for assistance from the community campus members as well.
Does that sound okay to you? And you have more questions, Gretchen?
Well, would it make more sense for someone who saw the information before back in 2019 and 2020 to serve on the committee? Because this would all be new to me.
Well, I think I don't know if there are other people who were involved with this one. So it will be a good opportunity for you. So I think you're smart, you can handle it, right?
Bring a fresh view.
Yeah.
How could I refuse?
We'll bring a fresh
It's called the
view.
railroad. It's called the railroad.
Yeah.
I second the motion to nominate Gretchen if she's willing.
Okay, all right. Motion has been made, it has been seconded. It looks like Gretchen is hesitant but willing, right?
Sure.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of the motion to approve the nomination of Gretchen Herman to the Plan Commission. This will be the Plan Commission appointment to the Community Campus Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose will be, okay, motion passes unanimously.
And Gretchen,
Well,
just so you know,
Thank you,
I am
Gretchen.
going to do a refresher this Saturday at the Common Council and Plan Commission retreat, which I emailed you all about a while back. And I think I only heard back from 4 of you that you could make it, but just a reminder, I hope you can all make it. We will need a quorum of the Plan Commission. The meeting starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday, and it's a remote Zoom meeting. Most of the meeting is dedicated to the strategic plan, but there will be a refresher on the community campus plan.
Will you send donuts and coffee to my house?
I actually thought about trying to arrange for something like that because it is a long meeting and we usually at least give you breakfast, but
I suggest Clausen's morning buns.
yeah, just a porch delivery.
Don, it's not on the agenda. It's not on the, it's not on the agenda as an action item, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Well, all right, so it's really short meeting. It's just barely half hour. If there's anybody has anything
Let's
else.
keep up with these half-hour meetings. Those are better than the 4-hour ones. So.
All right,
And
Move
now
to
that's
adjourn.
airport commission.
okay, need a second.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Well, motion is unanimous and we are adjourned. Have a great evening. Okay.
Stay warm, everybody.